Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Big Thinker Universe podcast. And this is part of our preparatory series. The first few videos, I think we've got 30 in total. We're going to show you little ways you can improve your business today, and we're going to help you get there. So today we're going to talk about the signature system, and I'll explain that in a little bit of detail. But first, I just want to point out, if you haven't mapped your avatar's hot buttons that we discussed in yesterday's episode, go back and do that, because the things we do here will lead to the things we do here. So this is meant to be bite-sized chunks. I promise you, if you do this work, you will get results. I also promise you, if you don't do this work, you'll get results. What I mean by that is you will get better results if you take the time and energy and you focus on how to deliberately and intentionally grow your business rather than randomly. Now, I don't care if you're a local business that provides products or services. I feel that all of us should have a product wrapping called the signature system. And this works really well if you have a service that you sell or offer, and it works really well if you have a product. Now, the thing is, nobody buys a product for the sake of the product. Nobody buys your service for the sake of buying your service. A lot of professionals think I sell time. Complete and utter lie. If you believe that, you're going to struggle for the rest of your days, because the best you can do is increase the value of an hour. Nobody buys an hour of your time, I promise. They don't want your time. What they want is the result that your effort can bring. And by the way, if you bill by the hour, charge by the hour, you are inherently building conflict into your relationship, because your client is always going to want your hourly rate to be lower and your time spent to be lower. And by the way, if you're inefficient, why should your client pay for that? Now, on the flip side, if you're really efficient, why should you suffer? Because if you, with tools and technology, if you can do something in an hour that takes your competitor 10 hours, are you really worth 10, a factor of 10 less than your competitor? No. In fact, the time we spend on things is completely irrelevant. Trust me, I'll tell you a story about time another day that'll curl your hair if you have it, make it fall out if you don't have curly hair already. But the reality is, time doesn't matter to people, results do. So we've talked about, yesterday, we talked about frustrations and fears versus wants and aspirations. And the day before that, we talked about creating an avatar and choosing your niche. Today, it all comes together, because what we want is to create a signature system that is unique to us, and this is what we offer to our clients. Now, I'm not going to do a deep dive and teach this. We have lots of resources already on this subject, but basically, I'm going to show you why this is important. So, when we looked at the avatar hot buttons, we have frustrations and fears that they want to move away from towards wants and aspirations. So here's the thing: their fears, frustrations are their problem, clearly well defined. The wants and aspirations are promised to them. So what we need to do is build a signature system to get them from where they are today in pain to our promise where they're transformed. And I know this might sound a little airy fairy or a little touchy feely, but the reality is, people don't buy your time, they don't buy your product or service, they buy the solution to their problem. And if your product or service happens to do that, that's why they buy. Now, as a professional, if you're in a profession or you sell your knowledge, a signature system is critical. Now, if you have products that you sell and you want people to do better, create a system around your products where they get the result you promised. I'm going to oversimplify, but let's say you're in the business of selling carpet cleaning vacuums. You know, the ones where you can do it at home. They sell them in the pet stores, they sell them at retail stores, but basically they're to spot clean carpets when pets have accidents. Well, here's the thing, you can sell them the vacuum, and then they got to figure out, okay, what products do I need to put in the vacuum? What techniques do I do? What if you created a system where you showed them from start to finish how to treat all different kinds of problems from pets, or even, from kids, or adults who spill too much, and show them how to get the various stains out? That is overly simplified, but I personally would pay more for a system, a stain removal system, than I would pay for a stain treating vacuum. And most people think that way. We don't want the pieces, we want the full system, the solution. I'm not going to get into the weeds on this one. Trust me when I say I've yet to be stumped. If somebody comes to me with a business and says, yeah, Jeff, my business is different, I can't create a signature system, you're wrong. You can. It's really a question of you don't know how to, or you don't know why. So here's why. If people believe you understand their problem better than they do, and they believe you have a system for it, it makes you much more referable, and it makes it easier for them to buy. So a lot of people don't talk about this. A lot of marketing doesn't get into this. But the reason people buy something is that they feel that somehow their life is better for it. I think Russell Brunson talks about status. So if we are having a conversation with a prospect, we either elevate their status and they buy from us, or we decrease their status and they ghost us. So with the signature system, you're confidently saying to the world, if you have this problem, our system is the bridge to get you to this transformation. Now, we do this very, very simply, and I've shared videos on this before, so I'm not going to go into the details. But basically, for every signature system I work with, we are the experts. We need to look at our clients' problems and say, what are the steps they need to take to get from their problem to our promise, our transformation? So I always break it down into 5 stages, and I borrowed this from the world of project management. So if it sounds familiar, I'm not claiming it as my own, but what I am claiming is how to use it in the context of a signature system, and it works. So stage one in my world is always diagnosis. If we don't diagnose their problem accurately, how do we know we're solving the right thing? So stage one is always helping them understand their problem more than they understood it before. And the more clarity we give them, we actually create value in that first stage. And by the way, one of the things I love to do is break out payments into stages. I have a fixed fee for each stage so that people can decide, do I want to diagnose this? Okay, maybe I want to solve it, maybe I don't. But I give them the freedom of choice where they can opt out at any stage. What that does is it prevents me from putting in a whole bunch of time to figure something out and then find out they didn't want to solve it and they don't want to pay me. But it also gives them an element of choice where they can look at it and say, do I want to solve this? Sometimes they're just happy knowing what the problem was. So stage one is diagnosis. Stage two is recommendation. And in stage two, I give them a report of some sort where they understand their problem, and I share my recommendations of how I would go about fixing it. Now, to be clear, this is not a step-by-step checklist so that they don't need me. What it is here's my process that I'm going to follow. Here's the tools I'm going to recommend. If you want my help, this is what help looks like from me. Now they have a decision. Do they want that help? Yes or no? Do they think they can do it? Yes or no? I again add value because I'm saying, here's what I think you need to do. Here's what working with me is going to look like. Here's what working with me is going to cost. Up to you if you want to go to stage three. Now, stage three is an implementation stage, and I always have 3 options here. Either I can have them do it themselves with me guiding, or 2, I can have them do it with me. I guide them a little bit more, And then the third option is always done for you. It's my white glove Cadillac service where I'll do everything for them. So that gives them a choice again at the third stage. They can decide, do I want a little help, more help, or a lot of help? And again, you'll notice I'm giving them the choice because people who have choices are more likely to want to work with us than people who don't have a choice. And by the way, there's such a thing as too much choice, so restrict it to three things. Three is a magic number for a lot of reasons. Now, stage four in my world is maintenance. So it's rare that you can solve a problem and it's done forever and fixed forever. You want to have some key performance indicators, some metrics. What can we monitor on a regular basis? And it doesn't have to be daily or weekly, it could be quarterly, it could be an annual review. But I always build in some level of maintenance to make sure that they're not reverting and going back to having another problem. And then optionally, I have stage five, which is optimize. And what I do in so in stage four, it's maintenance. We're just making sure that the things we've done keep working. In stage five, optimize, we're getting into we'll meet quarterly, we'll meet monthly, we'll meet as often as we need to. But basically, what we're looking for is other things we should be fixing before they become big problems. So this is more, the optimize, we literally go back to the diagnostic phase, but it's more proactive rather than reactive. Now, I'm not going to get into the details, but for every stage, we have multiple steps, and we want to list out as many steps as we have so that the client understands exactly what to go through. Now, your diagnostic stage might involve a completion of a report or an assessment or a questionnaire, and then a review and evaluation. List the steps. Now, the important thing is for every stage, you have a finish line. And what that finish line does, it tells the client that that stage is complete. So in the diagnostic stage, for example, once you've exhausted everything, you're confident you've got the root cause, that's the finish line. And the prize is something tangible that shows their life is better for having worked with you. So the finish line of stage one might be a clear diagnostic of the issues. The prize is the clarity that they can grow their business knowing they've identified and quantified the problem. So when you create your signature system, you want to have all of the steps for each level. And for each stage, you need to have at least one finish line and at least one prize. You can have, if you're really, really fancy and you want to put the effort in, you can have a finish line and prize for every single step. So, for example, in stage two, the recommendation stage, the final thing that they get is a recommendation report, which is the finish line, and it says this stage is complete. The prize, again, is that they have a path forward and they know what their options are and what it's going to cost them. So there's a clarity element. That is the signature system in my world. And I truly, firmly believe every business could benefit from having one, especially those with services and those with products. Now, for the record, people say, oh, I couldn't do this because, if you're a restaurant, maybe it's a little bit harder, but the reality is people don't come out to a restaurant because they want food. They have other reasons. Maybe they want companionship, maybe they want camaraderie. Design a signature system that appeals to your perfect prospect persona. Thank you. I hope you like this. Share your comments and thoughts below and feel free to subscribe.